is Dr. Rick, founder of Herbal411.com, and today's unboxing is on the Prolon Reset. Those of you who follow me on my YouTube channel know that I really fell in love with the Prolon box. Prolon is a 5-day diet. It was invented by Valter Longo about 2015 when his book first came out. I remember I was in communication with him right before he released anything, and I was really excited to find out what the data showed. Many of my patients, myself included, have had the benefit of trying the box several times, and it always works. Now, going through the first or second box is going to be tough. Simplifying this, the basic premise to the Prolon box is you decrease your caloric intake to about 1,000 calories on day 1 and 750 calories on day 2 to 5. The data is robust. It shows a decrease in mTOR and a decrease in... For those of you who are not interested in data, it doesn't really matter what mTOR or pKa is. The idea is that you can actually reverse disease. For my patients, if you are already triggering your exercise routine and your healthy lifestyle, and your love handles, beer belly, extra flabbiness doesn't seem to be moving, perhaps we should trigger this. My patient, we usually start out by getting a beta-hydroxybutyrate, hemoglobin A1C, and insulin, not to mention the other data points that we initiate before we start the lifestyle change. And if there is an insulin resistant issue, or if beta-hydroxybutyrate isn't high enough for somebody that's doing a 1 meal a day or a intermittent fasting already, it might be time to trigger more aggressive fasting just to ensure that your metabolism becomes more fat adapted. My default explanation is this: if you have an engine and it can go from electricity to gasoline, that's called a hybrid. If you always use gasoline, you never plug it in, you don't take advantage of electricity, and you take no effort in driving conservatively, then you're not taking advantage of the other assets in your engine that you paid for. Same thing with humans. We should be able to go between carbohydrate metabolism and fat metabolism. Both of them are used for energy. In some cases, you can even use protein, meaning muscle as your energy source, but we don't want sarcopenia. The thing with our metabolism is that if you're always taking in sugar and carbohydrates and you don't really go into proper fat adaptation or healthy fats as fuel, then your metabolism will always default to carbohydrate. In some cases, if you contribute even further to that carbohydrate dominance by using sugar, alcohol, or simple carbohydrate, highly processed carbs, your metabolism will only get used to carbohydrates as a fuel source, and you will also become insulin resistant. And that's the first step into diabetes. This information is only meant to be educational. If you're one of my patients, then we've already done the insulin level. If you go see another doctor and all they do is check hemoglobin A1C or maybe just a glucose fasting at best, insist on getting an insulin level first thing in the morning, in addition to hemoglobin A1C. I think those metrics will be very good at figuring out what you have to do to manipulate your metabolism so that you will get the benefits of your fasting, your exercise, and your deep sleep during your initiation of healthy lifestyle change. For my data-hungry patients, I do have to mention a couple things. Number one is those of you who are worried about TMAO. This is a nice study that showed benefit when you deploy the fasting mimicking diet. Next, this is old data that Longo came up with that really showed improvement in survivability and cancer reduction. And newer data, specifically regarding breast cancer survival. Changes in the microbiota for those of you who suffer from IBS, SIBO, or MCAS. Improvement in cognition, that means Alzheimer's prevention. Even responsiveness for multiple sclerosis. And for those of you who don't know what multiple sclerosis is, it's an autoimmune disease that typically doesn't have a cure, but diet will actually reverse attacking cells. And that's not any medicines, there's no side effects. You have to pay for the box, obviously, but it's not like you need a medicine. And finally, this was the original paper that was released in Cell Metabolism 2015. The overarching theme is that there's no side effects. Now, if you're a diabetic on medicines, you have to get clearance first. If you're one of my patients, I'm going to get you off medicines, first off. But number two, we'll fine-tune your application so that it matches your intensity of exercise, your sleep. So let's see what it looks like. This is the instructional packet that comes with the reset. This is the box, which is an assortment of different soup. This is all vegetarian: olives, another soup, tea, and some vitamin. In addition, you have almond and kale crackers, something called an IF bar with nuts and honey, and finally an intermittent fasting bar. What's different with the reset is that it's a single box for a single day. The Prolon box, which is a 5-day fast, has all 5 days within the big box that you break apart and you follow the instructions and you finish each day one at a time. The suggestions from Longo is to continue on the 6th day with healthy eating, slowly reintroducing healthy food, and not binging. I thought this was a genius production because not everybody goes for the entire 5 days. Some people are very apprehensive because they're taking care of kids, taking care of family members, and it is a tougher struggle when everybody else is eating around you and you have to prep their food, yet you're only allowed to follow what's in the box, which is essentially soups and bars. Trust me, everybody that first breaks into a diet will have so many emotional changes that they'll come up with anything to rationalize, I'm tapping out now because this, that, or the other thing. So on that note, it makes it a little easier to apply a 1 or a 2 day. This would be great if you're an intermittent faster and you apply a 5-2 diet. This would be easier to deploy because you can kind of control the weekends, or you can at least take 2 days when you're not going to be around with family members or eating with coworkers. I have not seen the data from El Nutro on deploying the 5-2 diet and how many cycles of that would take to equal a big Prolon box. Personally, I'm going to deploy this in a 5-2 approach for 3 weeks. I'll see what the effects are in 3 weeks' time, and if I can drop down to my goal weight of high 130s, low 140s, then it's a success. Most people that deploy the big box for 5 days usually lose about 5 to 10 pounds on the 5th day. But the benefit is that your insulin, your craving, and your metabolism continues to respond if you maintain a healthy diet. So in theory, if you can deploy 2 days a week of a low caloric intake, you should be able to trigger the same thing if you keep on repeating it several weeks. The magic number for you, as far as how many weeks, it's going to be user dependent. If you work with your provider, you can probably come up with a plan to trigger your own signal of insulin sensitivity on your own. And you can also time it with events, especially if you have a big fitness endeavor coming up. You don't want to be fasting too low right before or during your endeavors. I just like the portability of these tiny boxes. It makes it more novel to get through the day when you have 1 day to accomplish and nothing else. A lot of us will pick a destination like 100 pounds off or massive muscle gains, and will self-sabotage by saying, I want to do it in 1 week. You have to have a goal, but you also have to be a little bit more realistic because you're going to get injured or you're going to hate the entire process of going through this lifestyle change. Without taking a single prescription medicine, you can reduce your risk of disease. Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, gut dysfunction, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and most of all, cancer. Everyone has always asked for a diet that will reduce cancer, and now we have one, but everybody's like, I can't afford it, I don't want to do it, I'll take my chances, I'll make my own. It's not the same. Obviously, I can't tell you how it's going to turn out with me, but I'll tell you the first couple of years when I started with the 5-day box, I dropped down to a weight and a body fat index that was spectacular for my age. I'm going to be turning 60 this year, so I really want to get in the best shape of my life to attack the decade from 60 to 70 because that's when all the crap is supposed to happen. More importantly, I don't want to have disease. I want to be around for my great-grandkids so I can tell stories, educate, share my time, and just be with my family. So if you're struggling to lose weight, if you have a disease process that's just not responding, or if you've been very frustrated with your nutritionist because they're too fast and they're very generic, I'd say give this a try. My patients get it at cost. So if you're a warrior, send me a message on Get Healthy, and I'll tell you what we have to do. A lot of you that are not my patients, you can actually search on El Nutra's platform, and I believe they have sales every once in a while. For me, this is already getting a thumbs up, and I just started the first day, but I have high expectations and a positive attitude that this will help me during my journey. If you have any questions, put them in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching up to this point in time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I do practical videos on how to make easy lifestyle change and make them stick. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next video.